Welcome to That's Good Sports. This is a YouTube channel. Still. I am Brandon. Do not take medical advice from O.J. Simpson.
Over 90% of hospitalizations, especially in Florida, are among the unvaccinated.
Okay, maybe that's the only medical advice you should take is from O.J.
Get your shots. You have a much better chance of surviving.
Actually, O.J.'s got a lot of perspective for a double murderer. Perna. Today, I've got sports headlines that'll make your head spin, followed by the injury news you need to know about Carson Wentz and the Bills threatening a move to Austin, Texas. And finally, we're going to wrap up the show with the 5 worst things I can say about this clip. That's good sports! Gun's a little rusty today. Please subscribe to this YouTube channel. I'll have Patreon donations and fantasy football updates at the end of this episode because today, this episode is sponsored by buyraycon.com/thatsgood, which will save you 15% when you use my link in the description. Now I've taken my wireless Raycons with me everywhere. Yes, I leave my editing station where I also use them from time to time. I've been to New York City, to the desert, to the top of the mountains, all the way down to the industrial wastelands of North Denver, to the most American place I know, a bald eagle's nest. I even went to the future where Raycon's 6 hours of playtime, array of color selections, and snug noise isolating fit were still unmatched. Raycon has a 45-day free return policy. That means you have until football season to test them out. So click my link in the description or go to buyraycon.com/thatsgood to get 15% off Raycon earbuds, which are already half the price of other premium wireless earbuds. All right, let's start the show with the football world's most important segment, headlines. O.J. Simpson took to Twitter to remind people to get vaccinated.
Female doctor was on this morning. She made the best analogy I've heard. She said that being vaccinated is like wearing your seatbelt. That it doesn't guarantee you won't get in an accident, but if you do, you have a much better chance of surviving.
Also, here's another analogy. Hiring great lawyers doesn't guarantee you won't go to prison, but if you do, it won't be for murdering your ex-wife. Justin Houston signs a 1-year, $4 million deal with the Ravens. Somehow this was the most obvious signing of the offseason, and it took until August to happen. I'm just shocked that Justin Houston wasn't already a Raven. 5 parrots were separated at a British zoo after encouraging each other to curse profusely at zoo guests. When asked why they did it, the parrots responded, "Go fuck yourself with your mother's cock, you bloody wanker." Because they were British. USA beats Mexico 1-0 for the Gold Cup. USA! After Mexico fails to learn the difference between a soccer ball and a human head.
Ain't that a kick in the head?
Yes, in the most literal sense, it really is, Dino. Now last week, Randall Cobb had this to say about being freed from the Texans organization.
I can breathe again. I've seen the other side. Teammates say, "You act like you just got out of prison." I said, "Well, Green Bay's like a Fortune 500 company, and the Texans are a new franchise. They're a startup that's figuring out their way."
Making that the nicest thing anyone has said about the Texans in 2 years. Now after finally showing up, quarterback Zach Wilson looked great at Jets training camp. He and Elijah Moore tore it up during their first day together. Just a reminder though, he was throwing against the Jets defense. Young babyface Wilson may have a cannon, but damn it, old beardface has the kind of speed and spirit I can't help but root for this season. On to the Olympics. I wonder what kind of bet this guy lost. That's French Olympic athlete Quentin Bigot, who specializes in the hammer throw. Of course, in France, his last name is pronounced Bigot, but here in America, a guy named Bigot, who can throw the hammer? Well, he has a lifetime employment guarantee building the border wall. Either that or playing edge rusher for the San Francisco 49ers. The Vikings were forced to practice without 3 quarterbacks due to COVID protocols. Sounds familiar, doesn't it? No, that's not a reference to my 2020 Broncos who were forced to start practice squad wide receiver Kendall Hinton against the Saints. I'm talking about the Colts right now. And finally, this guy did a parody of my show. My show.
Got on my cock ring. Whew. That's good, sports.
They say imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. I just wish I had as much money as the other people he was flattering. And that's it for your sports headlines. Let's start with the Browns and running back Nick Chubb, who have agreed to a 3-year, $36 million deal to keep the Pro Bowler in Cleveland. He's given the city the Chubb they've needed since Drew Carey lost all that weight. Now, Nick Chubb missed 4.5 games last season, still broke the 1,000-yard rushing mark, and turned out 12 rushing touchdowns. If he plays a full season with Kevin Stefanski, he's going to get close to 1,500 yards, maybe 15 to 20 TDs. This is the rare case where it was smart to pay your running back. And Cleveland did it early, which is also smart. Dear God, I am saying the Cleveland Browns and smart in the same sentence, like it's nothing. Honestly, they might be a bigger threat to the Chiefs right now than the Bills. All right, we've got Carson Wentz injury updates. The Colts originally announced Carson Wentz was putting off surgery to repair his foot, which was injured right at the beginning of training camp last week. Wentz was supposed to try and rest and rehab the foot, but Frank Reich announced Monday morning that Carson Wentz will undergo surgery and that he's going to miss 5 to 12 weeks. Which, holy shit, that's vague. So he could either be back by week 1 against Seattle or 3 months from now, which would be week 8 against Tennessee. Meaning the Colts might have to play 7 games with Jacob Eason at the helm. And for what it's worth, he's taken 0 snaps in the NFL, not even in preseason, because there wasn't one last year, if you recall, and it was August sucked. Getting injured and missing time, though, for Carson Wentz isn't new, which is why I'm not surprised he and the team elected for him to have surgery as soon as possible and get back to 100% on a more rigid time frame. My fear now is that Carson Wentz is a modern-day Sam Bradford. The Colts did sign former Packer and Cardinal Brett Hundley last week, but like I said, I would expect second-year quarterback, former 4th-round pick Eason to get number 1 reps until Wentz is healthy. Just look at this 6'6" mammoth. It's a wonder he lasted until the 4th round with John Elway still drafting for a team that draft. Sure, he might look like a diet Justin Herbert, but that's okay. The big loser with the news is obviously the Colts. The second biggest loser has to be the Eagles, whose conditional 2nd-round draft pick becomes a 1st-round pick if Wentz takes either 3/4 of the Colts' offensive snaps this year or 70% of the snaps plus a trip to the playoffs. The conspiracy theorist in me thinks the Colts are setting this up perfectly for the old 69. Ooh, another update. Wow, news in Indy keeps getting worse. Now, Frank Reich, according to Adam Schefter, will also be getting foot surgery. Per Adam Schefter. Looks like holding training camp at MetLife Stadium was Frank Reich's first big mistake as head coach. The Bills are pulling a Joe Rogan and are threatening to move to Austin if they can't get a new stadium built in Buffalo. Let's just hope if they do build a new stadium, they don't tear it down and rebuild it after a couple months for no reason like Joe Rogan. The Buffalo Bills want $1.5 billion for a new stadium and to cover renovation costs for the Sabres arena. Now the Bills think they can build an entirely new stadium for $1.1 billion, and they want taxpayers to pay for it. Now, I guarantee 1.1 billion is too low of an estimate. SoFi Stadium cost 4.9 billion, Allegiant Stadium 1.9 billion, and the ankle-breaking turf of MetLife Stadium in 2010 cost 1.7 billion. Now, the other issue here is most of the taxpayers who would willingly pay for a new stadium in Buffalo are in debt due to medical bills from injuries sustained in the most dangerous tailgate parking lot on earth, Bill Stadium. If the Chiefs can find a way to pay Patrick Mahomes $500 million, then I believe Buffalo should be able to figure this out, the organization. If I want to buy a house, I don't get taxpayers to pay for it. I get Daddy to give me his credit card like a real American. Daddy, please, would you buy me another house? Oh, this one's so dusty. I just don't want to deal with cleaning it. Just kidding. I'm in massive debt because of my house. Now, I think it's pretty scummy that the Bills owners, the Pegulas, basically waited until the Bills became good, really good, to make this threat. Oh, you like having a good football team? Well, you won't have any football team unless you open your wallets and donate to the billionaire's new stadium fund. I know that if it comes down to it, Bills Mafia would empty every last cent out of their bank account to keep their team in Buffalo. They're good people, but it shouldn't come down to their money. If you're a billionaire owner and you reap the rewards of a new stadium, you need to put your own money up. And if you can't, maybe owning an NFL team isn't for you. It's like, Jesus Christ, man. When is it enough? When is it enough? I want to assure all of Bills fans watching right now that your team is not going anywhere. If it ever comes down to it, Don Beebe will come sprinting down the highway and slap that U-Haul off the road. There's another reason too. ESPN reported that Austin City Council was unaware of any plans for the Bills to move. Proof they're being used as leverage. It's double shitty of the Pegulas when you consider they're using scare tactics on their own fan base. Plus, they're getting the hopes up for the fans in Austin. And by the way, those people are most likely suffering Texans fans waiting for a life vest. So that's triple shitty. So stay true to yourselves, Bills Mafia, and force the Pegulas, if that's how you say their name, to pay for this shit. Now, I saw a really funny video that Bengal tweeted featuring Browns edge defender Jadeveon Clowny biting the dust during the tackling drill. So I thought this would be the perfect time for another new segment. Again, what are the 5 worst things I can say about this? This is just a reason for me to be mean. Jadeveon Clowny has finally lived up to his last name. No, not clown, knee. As in Jadeveon, my clown knees don't fucking work anymore. Clowny was one of the craziest athletic freaks coming out of college. Then he puts on a Browns uniform for 1 second and instantly embodies their entire franchise history in this one drill. The Browns are actually good now, but nobody knows if you are, Jadeveon. These tackling dummies need to get flagged for cut blocking. And Clowny needs to be flagged for looking like a tackling dummy. As bad as that looks, it's still better than that French policeman who tripped over a burning trash can. And as promised, I do have your big dick Patreon shoutouts, and yeah, all $20 patrons, I posted the Fantasy Football League info on Patreon, so make sure you check that out. Shoutouts for Joey Clark, hitting with the 20 spot, T. Sack, upping to 15, Jordan and Jocelyn Berger Wallen, Cameron Vaught with a 20 spot, happy birthday, Rashana. Your boyfriend could only donate $5 because he got you Broncos and Seahawks tickets for your birthday. Just Chris, Mycosis 420, and T-Soul Kalu. Thank you guys so much for your donations on Patreons. And thank you for watching this show. You can subscribe here on YouTube. You can click the video on the screen right now if you want to watch more of my bullcrap.